This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now. The number is 240-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Good morning. How are you this morning? Anybody who's driving down I-26, go another way. It's always fun coming into the show in the morning, and I just made it in here, but I did make it in here. That's the good news. Just be careful on 26. And if you're listening around the country, don't worry. We don't have terrible roads or terrible traffic or anything. Come and live here anyway, which is probably why we have a lot more traffic, and we're going to have that road widened and all cleaned up and fantastic in no time at all, right, Cody?
In the next 40 years, yeah. That's
really.
Probably what's going to happen.
Actually, due to be completed this a year from this fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
And on the good news station, because that's what we are, I saw Mommy Turkey and her little baby turkeys this morning right outside the studio on the way in. It almost made me late.
I did see them as well out there. There was like 8 of them out there.
Yes. Oh, you counted them?
just driving by really fast. I didn't drive by as fast as you were, but...
Were you going to jump out with a little net and capture those little turkey chicks?
I did think about that for just a second. Just go over there and pet them just for a minute. And...
I bet they taste good when they're little.
By Thanksgiving, they'd be...
Turkey bites, yeah.
Sorry, it sounds terrible, but we eat chickens every day, and nobody thinks that's bad. And those chickens have barely lived 3 months most of the time. So turkey chicks are probably pretty tasty. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
All the vegans and vegetarians and what else is it? Pescatarians now are like, that's it. We're turning off.
Yep.
And all the meat lovers are like, never thought of that before.
We'll tune in here for a minute.
What are all those people coming down the road right now with guns outside the studio to get little... Oh, that one's got a net. Wow. So you've been blowing up the phones all week. Thank you. I didn't quite expect this. We had a wonderful guest last week. I've got a wonderful guest this week too. We had a wonderful guest last week who was talking about his company's program that we now have exclusively, that is a cash offer program. The reason I haven't worked with cash offers for your homes before is because I sort of don't like the fact that an investor comes in, offers you 70%, which is the normal amount that they offer you, and because, you're in distress or your home needs some work, and you lose 30% effectively. Now, of course, it makes it easy. You get to move on. I get all of that. And then I found this program that we now have exclusively here, Rowena Patton, All-Star Powerhouse here, whereby they'll come in, they will give you that 70% in cash within 12 days to 4 months. I hardly dare say this again because we've written 3 of these offers already and our phone's been blowing up all week. It's crazy. And they will give you that 70% in cash, 12 days to 4 months, depending on your schedule and when you need to move out. And then, right up front, they'll agree a price that we think we can sell it for, and you get to share in the majority of the upside. They have a team of renovators that come in. It could be a deep clean, could be all that needs. It could be a carpet clean. It could be painting the ceilings. It could be a new septic system, a new roof, a complete remodel, any of the above. Finishing out the basement, that's a really big one. If you're in a neighborhood and you have a unfinished basement, and if you're in a neighborhood with finished basements, they can come in. It's their money. It's no risk to you. You've already taken your 70% in cash. When we sell it, and you'll know, All-Star Powerhouse sells a lot of homes. We know what we're doing. We've got a radio show, a best-selling book on selling homes, all kinds of other programs. You get to share in the majority of the upside. They take about 5%. And for every 30 days it sits, they take another 1% of the sale. But remember, the upside's a lot more. For example, we just did one. We bought it at $450,000, put about 70 into it, so that's 520. We sold it for 650. So the sellers would actually get more money than if we'd listed it at the 450 and sold it at 450. It's crazy. Not only that, they'd get to move on a lot quicker rather than waiting for that dated $450,000 home to sell.
And they're not sitting there on their hands. They're not like
Right.
nervous. Oh, am I going to get to sell my house or not? So
Absolutely.
gives them some peace of mind. That's worth more
Yeah.
money. That's for sure. So
It-
Not
Right.
going through the hassle of the redo, yeah.
And what else? So think about that. What does a traditional listing have that those listings don't have? What's it like when you list your home?
Oh, it's
due
inspection.
diligence period and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Right, but even before the contract, you've got all those showings.
Oh, yes.
You don't think about that before you
Yeah,
list,
yeah.
but now you don't have any showings.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you go to work, it's even harder because if you've got pets or anything else, then you don't know who's coming into your home. You've got to make sure if you're doing a traditional listing, that's fine. Make sure all your pills are away because unfortunately, people do book showings to go in and steal your pills. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Steal your medicine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Think how easy that is. You go into the bathroom. Hey, do you mind if I just use the restroom? To your agent. Your agent can't be with you or that person at any point, and there's usually at least two people. I mean, I don't know how these guys set it up. I'd imagine they go in with a family, and the kids are running around, and there's your medicine
believe
in
that,
your.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
either in your bathroom cabinet or it's in a cabinet in your kitchen.
Kitchen,
I guarantee it. Maybe a drawer in your kitchen. Where do you keep your medicines, guys?
Yeah, same kitchen, yeah.
In the kitchen. Is it in a cabinet or a drawer?
In a cabinet.
And where do you keep yours, Cody?
I don't take any medicine, but
What about
I'm
things
just
like?
kidding. No, well, I mean, my wife has a couple of medicines, but we just keep them in the bathroom, same spot. I mean, up on the.
Okay. And where
Kinda
do you
the
guys live so
mirrors,
that
yeah.
everybody can now go to your homes and break in and know exactly where your medicines are?
I live in Fletcher, so come on over and hang out.
You live near me, actually. So, but there's the funny thing. We all keep our medicines in the same place. People who want to steal those things, because obviously medicines are worth a lot on the black market or sell them on it, whatever they do with them, I don't know. But yeah, you've got to be careful about that kind of thing. This program cuts all of this out. And anybody that's had showings, heck, I've had a house for sale where we've had showings. It's not fun. We've got two big dogs and a little dog, and having to take them out in the truck every single time. And then you're like, oh, a house probably smells of dog a little bit. This takes all that off the table. You can move on. You're not making a contingent offer on your next home then as well. So you've got your 75% of your home. So take 25% off your gut feel of what it's worth. And then you've got that cash. You can move wherever you're going to move. And yes, there are homes available out there. We've got a couple right now who live here who are moving to Georgia. We're helping them with their move. This will allow them to move now. And then as soon as it's cleaned up, and all it's going to take is paint and a deep clean, and it will take us a week to get that done. Relist it. We can relist it for $50,000 more.
Well, that's the one thing that everybody talks about you can't get back is your time. So
Exactly.
and that saves a ton.
But it's so easy, and
Yes.
they're not having all these showings. They're not having the lockbox on their door. It's just done. So this company who comes in, and we're managing all of this. We've got it exclusive in actually all over the country, but that's a whole other story. The offer is written by Fred Bin, who was on the show last week. He is the CEO and owner. They didn't just pop up. They did 1,000 last year. They'll do 3,000 this year. Why is it so popular? Because there's really no downside. Of course you're taking a risk, but you are when you list your home as well. Just because you list it for $300 or $500 or $1 million doesn't mean it will sell for that, especially now as the market is flattening out.
That's true, yeah.
And if you don't know that, guys, the market has been flattening out since about Christmas. It's just bumping along. We're seeing more price reductions than we've seen for a very long time. Here's the other thing that's very important. We're seeing lots of listings expire. That means you've been on the market for 6 months or a year. The listing is expired because it didn't sell. Last year, I'd see maybe 1 or 2 a week. This year, I'm seeing 5 to 10 a day.
Oh, wow.
It's gone up dramatically. So why go through that 6 months to a year of having it listed, all those people coming in, worried about who's coming in your home, having to make sure your children aren't there, pictures aren't there, your medicines are tucked away, everything and being out of your house for an hour. It's really better, by the way, if you are not in your house when it's showing.
Well, everybody still is lingering on the hope and the promise of the last 2 years that they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get $300,000 more than what I thought it was worth, and this
You're
is
right.
what we're going to get. And it's just like you're saying, I'm seeing the same thing, and it's just,
You are.
it is going down. So
So economic cycle. I know we talk about this every week. Clement Juglar, 1860, 7 to 11 years. Just look up economic cycle. It's normal. We've just had a 14-year cycle. That's, ungodly long.
Yep.
It doesn't mean to say, oh, we've had a great 14 years. No. It's taken about, where were we, 2010, 2012 at the bottom.
Right.
So it's taken about 9 years to climb back up, right? It just took longer to climb back up. And now we're bumping along the top. And guess what happens? It goes back down again, comes back up again. We lost about 30% last time around as the market came down to the bottom. So it's normal that prices don't just keep going up. Think about it. That would mean salaries keep going up. And guess what else keeps going up when that happens? That little thing called inflation. What happens with inflation? Interest rates go up.
Oh, yeah.
So we're all back where we were and people can't afford houses. It makes no sense at all. So just know the market's flattening. If you don't want to be bothered with a traditional listing and all those showings and having to deal with your dogs, pets, and just if you don't want to be in there, you want to get out now, buy your house somewhere else. The difference is, guys, a lot of you come to me and say, okay, I'm moving to Texas, I'm moving to Weaverville, wherever you're moving to from your current house in the mountains. And I'm going to I just want to move out now, be easier to sell, I won't have to deal with all of that. And I just want you to list my house in X, and I'm moving to Weaverville. Great, okay, but now you've just got your house sitting there with no unlocked money. And if you need to unlock the money, you're making what's called a contingent offer on your home in Weaverville. So that means I will buy, Bob and Sally, I will buy your house in Weaverville based on my home selling. Bob and Sally are going to go, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Because why would they take that offer when other people are coming along with no contingency? It means, you got to sell your house for you to buy their house. Unless the market gets really low, which of course it has done before, most sellers, and this is if you're selling your house right now, don't take a contingent offer unless you really need to. Here's why. A third of the time, deals drop out. I've taught this across the country. It's in our best-selling book on selling homes. That's why we use certified pre-owned homes, cpoexperts.com, cpoexperts.com. That's where you do the appraisal, the inspection. That's what stops it. The dropout rate is then 7%. Why is that important? If you're a seller and you're taking a contingent offer, somebody else's contingent offer on their home selling, it's dominoes. 30% of the time, it's over 30% of the time. That's a lot. That person's home isn't going to sell. Now you've had your home tied up under contract, and then a third of the time it's going to drop out, and then you've got what we call a stigmatized listing. Because everybody looks at it on all the big sites and goes, why did the contract fall out? There must be something wrong with that house. We get calls from agents. We get calls from buyers. What's wrong with that house? You do not want that to happen. Don't take contingent offers. So if you're looking to sell your home, don't make a contingent offer. Use the forward program. You can go to mountainhomehunt.com, mountainhomehunt.com. Click on Contact Us. If you remember realestatenewsradio.com, better than mountainhomehunt.com, go there instead. realestatenewsradio.com. Just click on Contact Us and type in, want to know more about the cash offer.
I didn't think about this at first, but if you were this could really help out a young couple. If they wanted to take out the equity in their house and sell the whole thing, then they would have a portion to be able to put down on their new house.
Yes.
And a portion to be able to get a rental house. Because they would have to be able to have a little bit of both if they wanted to do that. But that gives them a lot of options.
That's
in the
clever
field,
too.
so,
I love that. So the young couple, or whatever age they are, that want to buy a house somewhere else, they can stay in the home up to 4 months.
Oh, wow.
The company will allow them to stay. It's a great program. Mm-hmm. So you can get your cash in 12 days. Maybe maybe you came back from college. Maybe you're a young single that has a home, and maybe you want to go back where you came from. Some college kids, we might want them to go back where they came from. Did I say that out loud? I've heard people say they want their own children to go back where they came from, but that's a whole other story. So let's say you want to go back to where you grew up, and you've been here for a couple of years, and you're like, I really just want to go home. I need some help from my parents or grandparents, or I need to help my parents or grandparents. Then what this allows you to do is move now, buy a home now. So it's only one move. And yet all at the same time. So, okay, you've got that 30% of equity still locked up here, but that is released plus in most occasions, because the company comes in and they renovate. You don't pay any money for that because they want an upside. Everybody's interests are aligned.
Right.
The forward company want to make money, obviously, as they wouldn't be doing this. They've got project managers who manage through the project of the renovators coming in, the painters, the cleaners, whatever it is that you need, the new roof coming in. And at the same time, you want to move on, not be bothered with listing it or anything else, and you want to make more money. So they come in, clean it up, and we're going to have the shiniest listings on the market because they're all going to be freshly painted or whatever it is that it needs. Many of you are thinking about listing your home, or many of you have a home listed where the roof is 20 years old. Mm-hmm. What do you think the buyer thinks when they come in?
Oh, it makes it tough. There's no doubt. I mean,
Yes.
especially on my side for insurance, because there's a lot of companies that will not touch a house that's got a roof older than 20 years old.
So let's talk about that. So what is the age of a roof that you will not insure, or many of your companies won't insure?
Right at 20 to 30 years. So
Okay.
they really want to see that there has been an upgrade or an update at some point in time within the last 20 years of that. But I've heard of many companies out there in Nashville and all over the state that won't touch a house that's 20 years
Wow.
and older, and they will not do insurance on it, even if it's like in a Biltmore Forest. I mean,
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So,
you're right.
yeah.
Especially with what's happened with insurance, and oh gosh, we'll talk about the hailstorm in a minute. Things that have happened where everybody's tightening the belts, just like the banks are tightening their belts.
Yep.
So if you have a home listed, I bet, of course, there's no button on the MLS for that, but as agents, we get to see the thing called the residential property disclosure. So we put this is actually really useful information, Cody. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So you've got a house that is, let's do 500 because the math's easy. It might be 400, but you've got a house that is 500,000. Your roof is 25 years old. So the buyer's agent that brings the buyer in is going to say, that roof is 25 years old. Cody or anybody else won't insure it. Therefore, we're going to take $25,000 off for the roof. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah.
So now you're at $475. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've already lost some of that equity, but not only that, I don't know if you would agree with this, Cody, but so many people don't want to do anything. They don't want to. That's why you've listed your home. First of all, you maybe not have the money to put the roof on. You're saying there's no leaks in the roof, there's no problem with it, so why would I change it? Well, the problem is you can't get insurance on your house. You need insurance to get a mortgage. Most people are getting a mortgage.
That's just the truth, yes.
So now you're stuck. And who wants a house without insurance on it anyway, even if you haven't got a mortgage and you're paying cash?
Yeah.
So that's a big one. So imagine, again, you use the forward program. They would come in, they would put the new roof on for you. You've already got your 75% of your cash value. Now, there is really the only proviso on this is that you don't have 70% or more of the value in a mortgage.
Correct, yeah.
Right? Because they, with the money that you get, you've got to pay off your mortgage.
Right.
But so many people now have so much equity in their homes because they've gone up so much that the vast majority of you have 30% or more of equity in your home. That's what it means. So, in other words, I'm trying to do the math quickly here. You might have to help me with that.
I was doing a little bit over here. So
500,000. So that's 350,000 is 70%.
Correct. Yeah.
So your mortgage can't be more than 350,000 because that mortgage has to be paid off.
Right.
We all know the bank really owns the house, right?
For a very long time.
Yes, if you've got a $500,000 house and your mortgage is $50,000, maybe you took out, a home equity line to upgrade the kitchen or something, then you get $350,000, you pay off $50,000, you've got $300,000 left in equity. But you say, my house is worth $500,000. Well, guess what? You need a new roof. We're going to go in and do the new roof. I don't know if you know, but your purple paint, your lime paint, your pink paint, your sky blue paint, it's probably not that fashionable anymore. We'll go in and we'll spend a few $1,000s, freshen it all up, You don't even have to be there if you've got somewhere to go. Maybe you've got family. So that's the other thing. A lot of people are going, it might be a older couple. It may be one of them have passed and now mom's left on her own or dad's left on his own.
That's a great example.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he goes up to Milwaukee where his children have made a life. Can you make a life in Milwaukee? That's it. All my Milwaukee listeners now have turned off the radio show. Everyone's turning off this morning. So, or they've gone wherever, and now they want their parent to be closer to them, so they don't have to keep flying back every time you've got a hospital visit or something like that. So go stay with your kids, and now you've got 300,000 plus your 50. You've really got 350 because it's paid off your debt. You're not paying on that every month. Plus, it's 500,000. You've got you're going to have a new roof. And with fresh paint, I'm making it up here, obviously. I have to, listen, I've done 42 of these. I know how to go into a house and add money to it, I promise. As inexpensively as possible, because you want it to be, as the seller, you want it to be as inexpensive as possible because you make more on the upside. However, we want to be efficient and do it the right way because then we get more money for your home. So now we list it at $575. And we spend $25 on the roof and we spend $5 on paint. Maybe you got some carpet that needs doing or something like that. We spend $35. You've got another $40,000 plus the $25 on the roof. That's $65,000 that you would not have had, and you get a big share in that when it sells for the higher amount. This company only takes, it's not even 5%, it's less than 5%. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the chances are you're still getting your 500,000. You're not having somebody nitpick you for it needs a new roof and all the arguments that go on with that and all the other little things that need doing, because you all know you've got 30 or more things that need putting right on your home. We all have. It's normal. This little thing there, that little thing there, this little piggy went to market. And once they're done and your home is clean and shiny, usually we get it's 11% faster to sell it or better. And you're getting more money for it because nobody wants to do anything these days, especially on the higher priced ones. We still have the higher priced buyers coming in. Patrick was on with me yesterday. He was telling me, they just don't want to do anything. They don't want to do paint. And I keep saying, listen, we can get the painters in, for next to nothing. Paint it before you even finish. Nobody wants to do anything or don't have the vision.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They can't see past the toys. They can't see past your kids' toys. Your kids are now 40, by the way, and live in Milwaukee. But the toys are still there, and the borders are still, the wallpaper borders are still up in the room.
Yeah.
Or your home may be beautiful, but maybe it's vacant and there's cobwebs. And literally, you go into a house after a week here and there's cobwebs. Or the roof's getting older and you didn't even realize because there's no leaks or anything like that. It could be that simple. Anything where there's an upside, this company also stages. It's amazing. So keep them coming. Think about doing it this way. Hey, you may as well get a quote, right? They can take on any number of homes. You may as well get a quote. Rowena Patton, All-Star Powerhouse, brokered by EXP. You can go to realestateenewsradio.com, realestateenewsradio.com. Click on Contact Us and just say interested in cash offer. Make sure you put the address in there so I can do a little research. That would help. How big you think your home is, if you know. What your gut feel is on what you want for it. And let's see if we can make this easy for you.
Well, you have nothing against it at all. If you're just going to get a quote, so
exactly,
nothing against you there.
It's no obligation. It doesn't cost you anything. I probably want to come and see you because my eyes on it. I am very experienced in adding value. Like I said, we just did one at $425 purchase, put 70 in, and it sold for $650 in a very short period of time. So it's I know how to do this. I've done 42 of them. I'm not doing it personally. This company has all the people to do it. The company manages it. It's an amazing program.
But you've had many years of being able to see what catches the seller's eye as well. So right as soon as you walk through the door, I can remember walking through the door of my new house that I've gotten. Yeah. Things immediately either negatively caught my eye or positively too. So,
do you remember what they were?
Absolutely. So right as soon as I walked in the door.
And how long ago is this?
This is last April.
Okay.
So not too long, or 2 Aprils ago. So
at least 2.5 years ago, you can still, so as a buyer, when you walk into a home, I say you always know. And in this market, it's expensive. So now you've had to, there's probably always going to be negative things because you're buying a bit less than you could buy before with your money. But Cody here is saying that 2.5 years ago, he walked into a home as a prospective buyer, and he can still remember the things that stood out for him. So what stood out to you, Cody?
Absolutely. So the vision that we had, that we wanted to make the kitchen bigger and one big open concept room to the living room. There was a little half bath washer dryer room that we ended up taking out, and it made it a huge area. But probably the biggest thing that caught my eye, I had a 1.5-year little girl at that time. Now she's 3.5. So
What's
that
her
about
name?
makes me cry. Her name's Ella.
Ella. Hi, Ella. Daddy's on the radio.
So then right as soon as I walked in, I saw that it had a room. It was stairs up to the upper section of the house, and then there was a room, not a dining room, but kind of a foyer area to your right. And then the kitchen was right in front of me, and it was like a big circle. So I was like, she could ride her tricycle in the house. I mean, it was that much space, and it just made me smile. It was like, man, if there was ever a rainy day or any time that we couldn't get outside or something, she can be in here. This can be her comfortable space at home. And that gave me cold chills. I was like, I saw that kind of in the future. I was like, man, this is really awesome. And she does it to this day. So she wakes up, we can hear her down there bebopping around. And
That's so
yeah,
cute.
It was awesome.
And what about the negatives of the home? So one was the size of the kitchen, and you knocked the walls down, opened all of that up.
Right. And I saw some damage that was from, like we had talked before, having to put away pets and everything like that.
Yes.
There was a rather large dog that lived inside the house, and there was a couple things that we needed to do to adjust things, such as either scratches on the screen door or little stuff that they had either wanted to be outside. Some paint that had been chipped off that wasn't repaired before we got in there, and very minor things to me, but I saw them as bigger projects down the road that were needed to get taken care of. So that was exactly like you're talking about. If I would have been the seller in this shoes and this guy's shoes, and then been able to just have somebody come in and buy the house, well, all of those things right as soon as the buyer came in would have been finished.
How much more do you think you'd have paid for that house?
Probably 100 at least. There's
you
no doubt.
serious?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt, because I mean, I wouldn't have had any negatives going in the house if that would have been an open concept house.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have had to redo some of the paint before we got in the house, and I just been able to just walk in first day and go right in. Oh my!
I think most people. And that's the thing. When you go into a house, most houses you go in, most of them are not perfect, and you're saying, well, honey, if we took that wall down, and most people never get around to that, you just talk about it, or, well, we can touch up the paint as we go, or we can paint the whole house, we'll make that next year's project, because obviously with buying a house, there's, all kinds of money you need, and it's just one of you, often you're going in as a couple, and one of you's like, oh, I don't want all those honeydews, I'm really busy at work anyway, or I don't want to pay that money, or what are we going to do with our children or our pets when the painters come in? It's going to be such a pain, and you just leave it.
Oh, yeah.
So when you take care of it through a program like this, so the seller that you walked into, when that's all taken care of, you're looking at 4 or 5 homes. Cody and his wife are looking at 4 or 5 homes with a little child, and if one of them stands out and is 50 grand more or 100 grand more, you're biting off their fingers.
Oh, there's no hesitation.
Maybe you're biting off the fingers.
To be able to do that, but and a little kid, if you take them in a house, and that's the good thing about a younger couple too, is if you have kids and you need to take them on showings with you, because they'll tell you what can be messed up in the house, and they're going to find little things that catch your eye and be able to see those little bits of joy that you can find from that. So yeah.
Well, I can tell you have a lovely relationship with Ella. Oh my gosh. His eyes are sparkling. We're on the radio, so you can't see that, obviously. The other interesting side of that is when it's an older couple. Oh, she's adorable. I'm just now seeing the picture on the phone. This is screensaver, of course. She's absolutely adorable. So when you're talking to an older couple that are looking to move out of their big home, often with stairs, or even middle-aged couple, I mean, many of us our knees start hurting when we're going up and down stairs. I know mine do. Or they don't hurt all the time, but if I'm going up and down stairs all day long, and I'm cleaning something out or doing a project upstairs, I never go upstairs. I never go on her upstairs. I go up there maybe once every 3 weeks when I'm looking for a pair of shoes I've stashed up there, you know?
Well, I just know that if I was talking to my father or somebody who was looking towards, I don't want to say older, but
your father's older than you. That's natural.
Yeah. And
you're older than Ella. I mean, it all just keeps cycling.
If he's looking at a deal like that, he wants to have some guarantees.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be sitting on pins and needles listing my house and the hope that it may happen. I've got time that I'm looking at, and I may not be able to get to certain spots if I don't jump on something. So
when your dad now is sitting there in his house that you grew up in, where he's got 4 bedrooms and it's just your dad. I'm just giving you an example here. Well, your dad probably wants to be in a smaller, beautiful, especially new home right now. So new home where he doesn't have to do anything. The maintenance outside is taken care of, maybe a townhome, and wants to move into that. This allows him to do that. Or mom, it may be a mom on her own that and it might be a mom and dad who are like, what the heck? You know, you've had that conversation all the time. What the heck are we living in this big old house for? The kids are gone. They left 30 years ago. They ain't coming back for holidays. And anyway, that's what Airbnb is for. And this allows you to move on. You can unlock that 75% now. The homes that need updating are even more of an upside because you've got this beautiful house that was designed for a family with all these bedrooms that now you've got a single or couple living in. You know, it's just that stage of life. This allows you to move on. And when this company, the Forward program, goes in and remodels, you're probably going to sell it for what you're going to sell it for now. But now, you know, in your 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, you get to move out.
That's right.
Now.
Yeah.
You can move out in 12 days if you want.
Yeah. Well, we just don't know. I mean, we've seen like you're saying, the market has leveled out a little bit. We don't know where it's going to go to next. So
yeah, we've got a pretty good idea. It's down.
I've done a lot of remodels in our house, and it took me 10 months to complete all of them. These people are going to do them in 30 days. They may get through with everything. Yeah. So I know we did the bathroom for a month. We did the kitchen for 3 weeks, and I mean it was just. And I'm working at the same time, trying to spend time with my family at the same time. And
the kitchen only took you 3 weeks?
Well, I had to outsource other people. I had to do a lot of plumbing stuff in there that we did ourselves. And so little things like that ended up taking more time. But we can only do 3 hours in the afternoon after I get through working for the day.
And then you've got to get permits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And go through all that. You don't, when you use a contractor, they know what they're doing. And remember, you don't have to handle any of this. You just take your 70% cash and then you sit and wait for the upside. And they usually do the work very quickly. Sometimes it's just fresh paint is all it needs. If you've got dogs and you've lived with dogs for a long time, I can see the couple sitting there eating breakfast right now or having brunch somewhere, and one of them's rolling their eyes at the other. You know, if you're used to living with dogs, you don't necessarily smell your dogs. So now the wife or the husband is rolling their eyes at the other one because, you know, it's like smoking. When you smoke, you don't notice the smoke smell.
Oh, yeah.
When you stop smoking, you're like, oh, good Lord, did everybody smell me like that? Because you can smell it from 6 feet away.
Oh, absolutely.
Just when somebody comes back in, they may have been chewing gum. But is that true, guys?
Very.
You know what I'm talking about.
Very,
so, yeah, it's you can smell that smoker 6 feet away,
Yeah.
even if they've chewed gum. But you've no idea as a smoker. It's like perfume or aftershave or cologne for men. When you wear it every day, you can't smell it anymore. So I'm fancy pants, so I wear a little Chanel, a little Coco. I love it. The Coco Noir. I've worn it for many years. I must be old-fashioned or something. And sometimes people will go, oh, you smell fantastic. And I'm like, I mean, I can't smell it. I can't smell it now because you become immune to it. So, in other words, when we get your butts out of there and your dog's butts out of there and even your cigarette butts out of there, it's all a lot easier to sell and you get more money. So you're probably going to get around the same, 5% more, 5% less maybe, than what you would get with a traditional listing. But all this is just, I think it's a no-brainer. Take your cash, move on, and then wait for the rest of your money. You know, you're packing up, you're ready to go. You don't have to sign listing paperwork. We bring you an offer. RealEstateNewsRadio.com, RealEstateNewsRadio.com. Click on Contact Us or give us a call. 828-333-4483. We have receptionists standing by to take all your details. Tell them you're interested in the cash offer program. 828-333-4483. This is exclusive to us. It's the best program I've found in the market. I've been in this business since 2007. I've never done cash offers before because it's an integrity thing for me. I don't want to steal your house away.
Right.
And that's why when I came across this program, I got a little bit excited. We're helping agents in other markets as well. If you're interested in this, same thing, 828-333-4483. Give us a call. We've got people standing by. Just say, interested in the cash offer. They won't be able to help you right away, but they'll take all the messages, throw it into our great system. Everything will be digitized. We'll start doing the research on your house and give you a call. So, it works really well for that. So back to Cody Jones, 828-545-2047. Cody Jones, CODY, Farm Bureau Insurance. How are you different to the rest of them, Cody?
I'm the greatest that there is out there. You just call
That's
in.
easy.
Just call in and talk to me.
That's easy.
I'm a diverse agent. I come from a really diverse family background and everything. So I can, if not, we can't help you out with your insurance, at least it'll be a great conversation.
There you go.
Yeah,
and he is fun. I'll definitely say that. He's definitely fun. And I asked you what had been going on in insurance, and you said all that hail. Tell me about that.
We did have a storm. It was Saturday of last weekend. Yeah, last Saturday. There was a storm that hit out in Candler that was just kind of a spotty, severe thunderstorm.
And just for those of you listening around the country, Candler is just west of Asheville. You'll know Asheville.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was just a little 20-minute storm that it was in the middle of the day, about 2 o'clock, and it just hit out of nowhere. And me and my wife actually pulled into a gas station out there just to make sure that it wasn't beating down on the front of my car hood, so that we wouldn't have any car claims or anything like that.
You mean the bonnet?
Yes. So we went in there and ended up getting my daughter something to drink and just sitting for about 15 or 20 minutes getting a little bit of gas, because trying to see if it would pass by, because it was bad. So then we had some people call in, and it ended up being about golf ball sized hail that was hitting some of the houses out there. That was just really weird. A couple of people had taken pictures of some of the spots that were out there, and actually they called in. They were my insureds and called in the next week, and we were able to get somebody out there and assess the roof. And sure enough, it had knocked a couple shingles off, and ended up getting them a new roof. So, but they had that damage, and they had damage from about a month ago as well. A tree limb had fell close by that knocked some shingles off as well. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, I remember one of those storms in Black Mountain, and my car was parked outside the garage, and we had the hailstorm, and the roof, is that what you call it on top of the car, was dented all over it. It was terrible.
There's a little quarter-size little dents everywhere.
It was terrible, yeah. I couldn't believe it. And I did actually have a garage, although, like many people, I stored things in it instead of putting my car in it. And in this market particularly, people are always shocked at how few garages we have. I think it's because, it doesn't get that cold. We don't have, feet and feet of snow. And if we have snow, it goes away very quickly, and it's usually not very deep.
Absolutely.
And it gets hot, but not that hot. So who knows why, but it's just new houses are built here without garages too.
Yeah.
So all those cars, I'm guessing, that were sitting outside, there'd be a lot of claims on those.
Yeah, I mean, not many people will get to the point to where they'll either get on a ladder or something like that and go look at the top of their car, because you usually can't see it. I mean, being other than your hood, you couldn't really see it that well. So I would be surprised if somebody did go out there and just took a little step ladder and just looked on top of their car to see what it could be.
So
you would hate
funny.
that, but that would be the truth.
So funny you said that. So in other words, if you live in the Candler area or west of that as well, the storm was doing that, I think. Go have a look at your car hood, because it's not too late, right?
Right, absolutely. You can file a claim for like 3 years or something like that. Yeah.
So I actually, I saw it on the hood, and I had some dents. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I looked at it. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I called insurance, say, hey, I've got a couple of dents. Looks like the hood needs replacing. It's that bad. And the appraiser came out, and it was all over. So I didn't see it. You're exactly right on the roof. And he's like, your roof is completely mangled. And it was like an $8,000 claim it ended up being.
Oh, absolutely.
It was awful.
Yeah, one of the horror stories we've heard was they had not a moonroof but a sunroof, and it had cracked the little rubber seal on the outside of it. It had like hit one of the pieces of hail had hit that little thing, and it had done like a hairpin little piece of crack in it. Well, obviously water doesn't care, and so it got into that little piece. It ended up going in the top of the car. Well, nobody saw it because you don't look at the top of your car that often, and it ended up messing with some of the wiring inside the car. So they ended up having that, instead of a $1,000 sunroof or whatever it was, I mean, it was like a $20,000 repair, and it ended up totaling the car. I mean, you could drive this car and everything, but it would just
short out.
It would just short out, and it would stop. Like on the interstate, it would just kind of slow down, and the power would be off and everything. I mean, water will do unbelievable things to a vehicle and a house too, of course.
Definitely a house. Yeah.
So that's just, I mean, you
we
got
have
to look
these
at those
big
little
moon
things.
roofs now, the big giant
yes.
ones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are very common. So, I'm sure that causes some issues.
You got a lot more space up there for that to happen. Absolutely.
It does make the car nice and light, though. I've got
It
one of
does.
those big
It does.
sunroofs. It does worry me though, because it must make the car less safe and everything else.
Well, yeah, it would break easily. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like your front windshield or something like that. It wouldn't just spider web. It would shatter quickly.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
It is like when you put one of those tubes, the light tubes, in your roof. Every time you pierce the roof, you're creating a space that, and obviously it's on the roof, so the sealant that you put around that opening, the sealant over time is gonna weather. It's not like a metal roof or your shingles on top. You put in a hole in the roof. Even though I love those.
Oh yeah.
Same thing when you see roofs being replaced. It's usually the flashing around the chimney that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you put there that's a pile of gunk, basically, that you put around a hole.
The Flex Seal.
Yeah, well, it's going to flex. If it's going to flex over time, it's going to break.
Yep, it is.
So that makes sense, right? So anytime you pierce through a roof, I had this interesting discussion the other day because many of you have your fans, your bathroom fans, venting into the attic.
That's right. Yep.
So when the inspection is done on your home, when we sell your home and it's under contract, the inspection will come back that your fans are venting into the attic space. Well, that's not code. So now as a seller, you're supposed to spend the money to vent it out of the roof. But I was talking to the inspector the other day and saying, listen, every time you pierce that membrane, the roof, you're causing an issue. And if the attic space is vented, then what's the issue? Because that air is going up there it could create mold and everything else. Well, guess what? We were saying that for years in crawl spaces. So the codes go back and forward as to whether crawl spaces should be vented or unvented.
Right.
Well, make up your mind. That's the same space down there.
Oh yeah.
And you're either going to have it, but it's different arguments for both, is the point.
Absolutely.
And I think the fans going up into, I'm just saying this, but if you're a seller, those buyers are going to ask for it, I promise. And that's quite some work to vent it. Sometimes you can't vent it because it's on the lower level and you've got to vent it out the side. I think the side's a little less onerous because you're going out of a wall rather than out of a roof when you're piercing that membrane.
Yeah.
Which, is...
Or at the eve of the house.
Yes, at the eave of the house, yes.
Underneath, yeah.
Yeah, and the eaves are normally where that vent is. You'll always see them over your garage too. So
Right.
if you look at if your garage faces the road, which so many do, and you've got that little crawl space or attic space really above your garage, you'll see that vent. They're normally decorative, but it's vented. That means moist air is getting in and out. So sometimes they're vented into that space instead of out of the roof. I mean, I don't personally see a problem with that, but obviously I'm not a building codes expert or anything else. But there's always pros and cons to everything, of course. What else are you seeing going on in insurance, Cody?
We have seen, other than...
What about non-insured? The non-insured. I heard on the news the other day that the non-insured is going through the roof, maybe because of inflation or people didn't go back to work after who knows why.
Absolutely.
After COVID, but
well, we've got a lot. We're a kind of sister city here in Asheville, and there's tons around America. where you're really close to other states.
Yes.
Now, the statewide requirements for liability insurance is not the same from state to state. So it could be in Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, South Carolina. It could be a lot of different things. Virginia, they could have no requirements of you to have liability insurance on your vehicle. So,
well, let's explain for a second why you're talking about that. So in Asheville, North Carolina, and a lot of you listening the locals that are listening living in Hendersonville or Waynesville. If you're in Hendersonville, you're 20 minutes from the border, not even, of South Carolina. You're also, if you live in Asheville, you're not even 30 minutes to the border of Tennessee.
Right. Yep.
Or 20 minutes to Tennessee. So, depending on where you are in Western North Carolina, you're 20 minutes from 2 other borders. So Tennessee, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So that's why Cody is mentioning this. So if you're only 20 minutes away, like we go to a restaurant in South Carolina, we might go to the airport in Johnson City, which is Tennessee. So you're traveling between the states, which causes an issue, I think, is what you're saying. So
absolutely, yeah. So it's people coming on vacation, just people visiting for the weekend.
Gotcha. From New York,
yeah,
too.
From anywhere. Yeah, they come and visit the Biltmore House or anything like that. So if you're listening and you're in another city and somebody is coming and visiting something in your area, then
so give me an example.
Yeah,
give me an example that you've actually experienced recently.
Yeah, we had a couple that lived here in they were in Leicester area, and they were driving downtown. I think they were just going out to eat one night, and somebody from I think Tennessee was over either on business or personal or something like that, and they rear-ended them. Well, they ended up catching their tag number and was able to get their contact information, but they drove off. So it was basically just a hit and run.
Oh, gosh.
So that happens, and this is obviously...
Were they from here, the Leicester couple, or were they just visiting Leicester?
Yeah, they were just going out to eat, I think, downtown, and what they said they were just... and this is every insurance company is what happens with a hit and run is you have to pay your collision deductible to get your vehicle fixed, and then you have to go through that whole process. So unless you were able to find those people, so that's your uninsured and underinsured motorist coverages on your insurance.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have
any
questions on any of that,
what if that Tennessee couple? And let's face it, we know that probably part of the reason they do that is, do you have to call the police in that instance?
You want to, so that you've got a documentation and a paperwork trail.
And so people know that. So if you're driving around downtown Asheville, some of those people have had a couple of drinks. And if you rear-end somebody, the last thing you want is you might not mind paying for the damage through your insurance because you're probably insured, but if you have had a couple of drinks, you might be very nervous. Absolutely.
And what are the chances? I probably watch too many criminal shows. What are the chances if somebody was to hit you and then you call it in and they were to hit and run and go? What are the chances of them finding that vehicle?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
Well, if you've got the tag, though.
Right. But they would be able to report them, but they couldn't instantly say, how do you prove it? I mean, unless you've got a dash cam on your car. Some of those things are just, those are the nightmare stories there. So we actually had, I know she wouldn't mind me telling this story, we had a lady go and visit her son in, I think it was New York area, but she parked beside the road at his condo. And the mail person came by and scraped the side of her car.
Is that a man or a postman? The mail person?
the mail, dropping off the mail
carrier.
Is he
mail carrier, yeah.
Is he known as him or?
I don't know. They but so they drove by and scraped the side of her car, and she saw it happen, but she went over there to confront them, and they said, "Well, we don't know what you're talking about." So unless you've got a Ring doorbell camera or some sort of documentation to be able to show that, I mean, that's your word against theirs. So
I don't think a mail person in Western North Carolina would do that. That's just those New Yorkers.
That's
now
what
the
I'm
New Yorkers are
thinking,
turning off, and we know we have a lot of New Yorkers. I've got a lot of New Yorker friends here that live here now that listen. So I'm just kidding, guys. But really, that's probably why you left New York.
I mean, I've got a really
why I left
good
Miami.
I've got a really good friend insured that lives over beside Cookout. That is a New Yorker, and he's a great guy and has some of those horror stories as well.
Yeah.
Some different insurance stories that happened to him up there, and broken windows at a restaurant that he had and stuff like that. So,
not fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in Miami and on a major road between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and some erratic driver. It was bizarre. Cut me off on the on-ramp. Then we were driving along, and I don't know, they obviously clearly had a problem. When I tell you what happened, it's a 5-lane highway, 5 lanes on one side, and I was in the middle lane driving along, and then this car abruptly stopped in front of me. The person got out. They were in a uniform, but some kind of secure. I mean, it all happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
They were sort of unusual looking. They walked out behind their car in front of me coming on, and I had an old Jeep at the time. I don't know how I stopped. It was a God moment. And then 3 cars piled into the back of me, at which point the person in front of me took out a gun, pointed it at my car. Yeah, it's crazy. This is Miami.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was just terrible. So the 3 cars piled into me, and then cars kept piling into them. And all the cars that were it was a long tail pileup. They all drove off apart from the one behind me.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And of course, the crazy person knew it was going to, it must be a crazy, who gets out in the middle of a highway? So sorry, that's crazy. I'll call it what it is.
It's a stressful situation too. And it's just, you're trying to get things together at that time. If somebody drives off, who is thinking about criminal minds at that point in time and wanting to snap a picture of their license plate and everything like that? I was terrified.
Yeah. I was really terrified.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
It's that moment in your life. And this poor old couple driving a camper behind me who went into the rear of me, pulled off to the side. I just sat there holding their hands while they were crying and calling their family. And, they were in their 70s or 80s in a little camper.
Probably never been in an accident in their entire life. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, neither. I haven't been in one that's been my cause, ever. And I'm not 19 either, but yeah, it was a very scary experience. They did actually, I had an old Jeep, and the headliner was a white Jeep with a burgundy headliner that was sort of dangling down. But it was my pride and joy,
I had one of those.
I was going to put it in for Pimp My Ride one day and have them, So they totaled it. I was heartbroken.
Oh, yeah.
The amazing thing was it was a very old Jeep, and somehow I stopped, as that person would have been squashed.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what they're looking for. Who knows? But yeah, we've all got those stories of insurance, so that's good to know. What kind of insurance do you do, Cody? Obviously, vehicle insurance.
Yeah, auto, home, life insurance is a big one for us. And then some commercial stuff as well. I've been able to help you out with a couple of things.
Yes, thank you.
And that's mainly what we focus on. I've been helping a lot of truckers lately that's been able to either hauling, dumping, anything like that. And then helping a lot of small business, tile work, different masonry type things, and helping those guys. So
before we lose the time, I want to talk about the I don't even know what they're called. It's a balloon policy that protects you, like that $1 million balloon umbrella policy that basically protects you for anything. So if you do something wrong, you've got that $1 million in that. I want to mention that because most often you offer it and people go, I don't need that. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't cost very much, does it, to add that?
Like $150 per year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you get an extra $1 million of liability insurance. So that's big time. So definitely call me and we can definitely hook you up with that stuff, or at least answer some questions. That's for sure. Yeah,
we could do a whole show probably on what kind of $1 million liability that could cover you for.
Yeah, always up for a good conversation. So
yes. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have a conversation with you about that, because it's something that came up recently for one of my clients, and I just thought, I never thought about that. And many people are just trying to save that $150 a year, which we all understand. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. So this is Cody Jones in for Farm Bureau Insurance, 828-545-2047. Give him a call. Rowena Patton here, All-Star Powers, brokered by EXP, 828-333-4483. Give us a call if you're even remotely interested in selling. We can do our traditional sale and present you with a cash offer when I come out and meet you and see your house. See you on the radio next week.
This has been the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.